That so many of his appointees have histories of sexual misconduct is also striking and underlines both that they share his determination to dominate others and that they do not think rules and laws apply to them. But there's another pattern at work as well. In a piece he published on November 15th in his Thinking About newsletter, scholar of authoritarianism Timothy Snyder explained that destroying a country requires undermining 5 key zones: health, law, administration, defense, and intelligence. The nominations of Kennedy, Gates, Hegseth, and Gabbard, as well as the tapping of billionaires Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to run the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, to destroy the administration of the government, are, according to Snyder, a decapitation strike. Imagine that you are a foreign leader who wishes to destroy the United States, Snyder writes. How could you do so? The easiest way would be to get Americans to do the work themselves, to somehow induce Americans to undo their own health, law, administration, defense, and intelligence. From this perspective, he explains, Trump's proposed appointments, Kennedy Jr., Gates, Musk, Ramaswamy, Hegseth, Gabbard, are perfect instruments. They combine narcissism, incompetence, corruption, sexual incontinence, personal vulnerability, dangerous convictions, and foreign influence, as no group before them has done. But that destruction of the United States is still so far aspirational. The constant references to Trump's supposed mandate are misleading. He did not win 50% of the vote, meaning that more voters chose someone other than Trump in the 2024 elections than voted for him, and even many of his voters appear to have misunderstood his policies. According to Jonathan Karl of ABC News, Trump's loyalists have tried to shore up support for his nominees in the Senate by threatening the Republican senators. If you are on the wrong side of the vote, you're buying yourself a primary. That is all. And there's a guy named Elon Musk who's going to finance it. That threat is a direct assault on the Constitution, which gives to the Senate the power to advise the president on senior appointments and requires their consent to a president's choices, and one that also hands the U.S. government over to an international billionaire. Forcing a leader's political party to get into line behind that leader is the first task of an authoritarian, who needs that unified support in order to attack political opponents. But so far, the threat hasn't worked. It could not save Gates in the face of public outcry. Almost as soon as Gates withdrew his name, Trump presented former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi as his replacement for the Attorney General post. In March 2016, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, or CREW, found that the Trump Foundation illegally donated $25,000 to support Bondi at a time when she was considering joining a lawsuit against Trump University. Her office ultimately decided not to join the lawsuit. Bondi defended Trump in his first impeachment trial, during which she was a frequent guest on the Fox News channel. She supported Trump's campaign to insist, falsely, that he won the 2020 presidential election. She is also a registered lobbyist for Qatar. Meanwhile, Republican perceptions of the economy have changed abruptly. As Philip Bump of the Washington Post notes, since Trump's election, there's been a 16-point drop in the percentage of Republicans who say they were doing worse a year ago than they are now. While that change is due to Trump's election, in fact, Biden's policies continue to deliver. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters today that for the second year in a row, the average price of a Thanksgiving dinner has fallen. According to the American Farm Bureau, that price fell 5% this year, with the cost of turkey down 6%. Gasoline to travel for the holiday is also down to its lowest point in more than 3 years, by about 25 cents per gallon since this time last year, falling to below $3 a gallon in almost 30 states. Tonight, Josh Marshall of Talking Points Memo suggested that Americans should keep scorecards of the country's economic numbers, charting where inflation, employment, and GDP were at the end of Biden's term and regularly updating it with Trump's latest numbers. He noted that the country is now covered with embryonic factories, businesses, economic redevelopment projects, and more, courtesy of Joe Biden's CHIPS Act and the Inflation Reduction Act, and predicted that Trump will claim credit for all Biden accomplished. Keeping track would help preserve those projects in the face of threatened Republican cuts, and at the same time prevent Trump from being able to claim more credit for his administration than it has earned.